Energy. It's one thing that I know every client wants. Whether you're coming to see us because of weight loss or to get stronger or even rehab, everybody wants more energy. Well, what if I could tell you a quick way, a quick addition to your existing program that would substantially make a difference in your energy level? Well, you can do that through a finishing set, a quick hit today on the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Health, wellness, exercise, nutrition, and a whole lot more. Got questions? Call us and leave a message at 251-278-EDGE or message us at Personal Edge Fitness on Facebook and Instagram, at Team PE on Twitter, or personaledgefitness.com.
Good day and welcome to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us today. Coming to you here from downtown Dog River, one of my favorite places to record a podcast, and talking to you about a quick way to add energy by adding a simple change to any existing program. Now, it's such a quick way that I can actually do this in a quick hit. So this fast podcast, let me tell you how to get in touch with us. If you have any questions, you can reach us at area code 251-278-3343. That's 251-278-EDGE. You can also contact me at Garrett, Garrett, at personaledgefitness.com. That's, of course, our Facebook page and our website, Personal Edge Fitness. And I look forward to hearing from you. Most of our great programs are coming from questions that we have from listeners and from clients. Now, quickly, just to let you know something we've got coming up. This month happens to be Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Then we happen to have a physician, Dr. Carolyn McGugan, that's going to be joining us in a few weeks. I want you to stay tuned for that. She's got some fantastic information concerning exercise and breast cancer. There's some things to look forward to, but let's get back to the subject at hand. That is adding energy by adding something simple to your already existing routine. Now, this is something I've actually talked about before. You've heard me talk about the difference between aerobic and anaerobic. Also talking about aerobic capacity versus anaerobic capacity. Aerobic, remember, means with oxygen. Activity that you can do like going for a jog. You're at about 70% of your maximum heart rate. You want to stop, but you can keep going, and you can even typically complain about it because you're able to talk. You've got oxygen. You're with oxygen. Anaerobic is without oxygen. That's sprint, recover, sprint, recover, sprint, recover. It's why Usain Bolt can do 100 meters at that speed, but he can't do it for a mile because he's going to be completely out of oxygen. And that's anaerobic capacity. Now, what I'm going to talk about is adding some anaerobic capacity work to your already existing routine. Now, I've talked about, I like anaerobic capacity workouts, high-intensity circuit training. And we're talking high-intensity circuit training, not just moving from one station to another and taking breaks in between. That's a great way of training also. But high-intensity, keeping your heart rate solid at a good 80 to 85% of your max with very short recovery times in between is anaerobic capacity workouts. That's typically HIIT training. And I say typically because there's a lot of people calling HIIT training that's not really HIIT training. They're moving from machine to machine or exercise to exercise, but they're not maintaining that level of high intensity. But let's say you're not interested in that kind of workout. That's not your thing. Or even if it is your thing. If it's not your thing and you're wanting to focus more on slowing down and focusing on the muscle and doing more work on the muscle, usually lifting a bit heavier weights, getting more dedicated to each set, dedicated each rep, and taking time in between because you may be doing either rehab work or good strength training work. That's fine. You're going to add this thing to your end of your routine. Now, when we use the words finishing set, we can be talking about a lot of things. In fact, I'm going to do a podcast later talking about using finishing sets to finish out a muscle. It's one of my favorite things to do in a routine. But I had somebody recently ask me about adding energy, and I knew they worked out a lot, but they also run a rather difficult and long day, very complex schedule. So we started working with them on adding this last finishing set to the end of their workout. They like doing good strength training. They're interested in muscle development. So we typically don't use a circuit-style HIIT training with this particular client. But in the last 5 to 7 minutes, we add a finishing set. Now, what that is I'm going to run a high-intensity circuit-style 5 to 7 minutes. Typically no more than that. Sometimes even less. 5 to 7 minutes, high-intensity, 80 to 85%, typically not stopping whatsoever. There's no rest time. If there is, there's maybe 10 or 15 seconds rest time. What does this finishing set consist of? Well, typically, what we'll do is we'll look at what we've worked that day. And let's say we're doing a pull day. We're working the back side of the body. We're doing lat pull downs. We're doing pull-ups, and we're working hamstrings. Any of the muscles that pull, bicep work, this kind of thing. We usually take the aspects of that workout, those body parts, and use body weight type exercises or lighter resistance exercises and keep the client moving the entire time, switching body parts as we go. So like a close grip row or high row, which is going to engage the lats and it's also going to engage the rhomboids because they're already tired. We're at the end of the workout. So I'm going to use that exercise, and then I'm going to move into a quick hamstring exercise and maybe even a bodyweight hamstring exercise, and then maybe finish with an ab. Just a simple double crunch or a bicycle or even a reverse crunch depending on what level of intensity. Now we're going to do a good either for a time, 30 to 40 seconds, or high rep on those particular exercises. And we're going to keep moving through all three of them, and we're going to move through all three of them for a good 5 to 7 minutes. Now what is this going to do? Well, this is going to spike the heart rate, obviously, but it's going to help you build that anaerobic capacity. It is a full anaerobic workout, and you're using it on exhausted muscles. So you're going to get to that anaerobic capacity, you're going to get to that anaerobic state rather quickly, but since we're using lighter weights and higher reps, it's going to be fatiguing. It's going to be more tiring than it is fatiguing, getting you out of breath. That's our goal here. It's a sprint, recover, sprint, recover, sprint, recover. And it's a way to use the same methodology you would use in a outside sprint routine where you sprint, recover in order to build anaerobic capacity, except for now we're going to do it with resistance training, and you're going to get the added benefit of finishing those muscles off that you've worked that day. It's part of the reason why we call it a finishing set. On top of course, it comes at the end of the workout. Now, what is this going to do? Well, like I said earlier, it's going to increase your anaerobic capacity. And as I said in the podcast I did on anaerobic capacity, I talked about the fact that most endurance athletes, we're finding the value of that is so strong that most endurance athletes now are moving more to an anaerobic-based training instead of, if you're training for a marathon, running mile after mile after mile after mile after mile. If you really want to improve your speed, you're going to add some sprint work. You're going to add speed work in there. Swimmers do the same thing. Any kind of endurance athlete. We found this out about 15 to 20 years ago now. We've been using it to our advantage. I've used it personally. I get the most out of my endurance-based races by doing this, building this anaerobic capacity. It teaches your body to recover faster. It teaches your body to handle stress better. It teaches your body to be far more efficient, especially when it comes to oxygen transport. And as many people know, oxygen equals energy. And that's why when you're depleted of energy, you're usually breathing really hard because your body wants more and more oxygen. Well, this increases your oxygen transport, which is going to increase your energy level. Like I say, I'm doing this in a quick hit podcast because it is something easy that you can add to your routine. You can add it tomorrow and start doing it at the end of every single workout. And I promise you, within a week or two, or probably 2 weeks, I would say, especially if you're on at least a 3-day program, you're going to start to notice a difference. You're going to start to notice a difference in how you feel. You're going to start to notice a difference in how much easier it is even to get through that finishing set. Anaerobic capacity work, it's extremely valuable. I'm a big fan of it, obviously, and this is a way to get it in there even if you don't like that kind of working out, even if you don't like that heavy hit-based, hit-style type circuit training. Adding energy to your program, just one more way we help you reach your level of wellness. Hey, stay tuned for that breast cancer podcast on exercise and breast cancer. It's going to be fantastic, and I hope you could join us then for that one, plus some other good stuff we've got coming up. Thank you for joining me today, and look forward to seeing you in the future.
Thanks for listening to the Personal Edge Fitness Podcast with Garrett Williamson. Subscribe now and be a part of the show by calling 251-278-EDGE or message us on Facebook and Instagram at Personal Edge Fitness or at Team PE on Twitter, and visit us at personaledgefitness.com.